It's funny how a person can live their entire life in the shadows of their past, always being taunted, always looking over their shoulder, never realizing that they've never turned around to face forward, to move forward. I never realized that I was walking backwards in a sense, afraid to look at what my life was becoming because I was so terrified and focused on what my life had been. As I think back on the days where I was in school, primary, elementary to junior high, those were some of the most horrendous times of my life. One would think that a person would be happy to go to school and be around friends and those people of their same caliber who they could relate to. Those same people who they could be on one accord with. The same people that they had everything in common with. We could link up, spend that short amount of time together, and then go our separate ways into the next day. Yeah, that's the thought. And it's also the normalcy of childhood. And I won't say that I didn't have some of those times, but more than anything, those times were turned into dreadful, fearful replays day after day of me having to go through the stares, the whispers, and the teasing of those I wanted to embrace me. I get up in the mornings and dread going to school that day. My mom, dad, never knowing anything about it because I didn't know how to say anything. I didn't know how to tell them that the person they thought was so precious, the person that they loved, the person that I believed was so precious, the person that I loved, that no one received. I'd get so frustrated and angry some days having to go to school because I would walk in with my head held high. And as I grew closer to those around me, my excitement would grow dimmer and dimmer. I'd be amongst so many of those that I thought I resembled, that I thought that I had everything in common with. Hey, we had the same clothes, same shoes, same book bag. We sat in the same classrooms, got the same lesson, got the same everything. But for some reason, even though we received the same as children, I wasn't treated the same by the children. No one understands the pain and the turmoil and the hurt that comes from a child wanting to be received, wanting to be played with, wanting to be selected into the groups by those around her or him. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be liked. I just wanted to make sure that I could receive the same thing from them that I wanted to give to them. I needed that. But instead, I was shunned away before I was ever received. I was rejected for reasons I didn't even know why. I was a happy child, lovable. Never would have hurt a fly. Only wanted to extend myself in the ways that any child would. But in the end, and along the way, it seems like the thing I had to offer, nobody wanted. And that wasn't fair. The highs and lows that it took to get up and go to school every day, to sit in a classroom and try to focus on what's being taught to you, while being looked at like you have a disease or like you have some kind of plague that nobody wants. To want the notes passed around to you and to want the whispers to come into your ear about some other adolescent behavior, only to be the whisper, the joke, and the punchline to everyone else's comic behavior. There were days when I tried to ignore what was being said, what was being done. There were times when I tried my hardest to fit in, even though I knew they didn't want me to. There were times when I made sure that I tried to make jokes and do silly things to get noticed, merely the exact same things that they were doing. But mine wasn't good enough. It's funny how one would know and one would think about the betrayal that they get from the same kids that they wanted to become, wanted to play with, wanted to be around. There was no different. I didn't see a difference. I didn't see how that the children around me could think any less of me when we looked the same, when we were the same. I didn't understand how the people that I wanted to play with, the people that I wanted to be around, didn't want to be around me. And why? Because of my skin color? Your skin color looks just like mine. You wear the same hair bows as me. You wear the same clothes as me. But for some reason, because I didn't fit the bill of those around me, because my skin was a tad bit darker, I wasn't good enough? That's not fair. I never treated anybody the way they treated me. I never wanted the turmoil, the pain, and the problems that I received sitting in a classroom where I'm supposed to be learning, where I'm supposed to be playing around, where I'm supposed to be getting in trouble with my peers for not paying attention. Instead, I was silent, afraid to open my mouth because I knew that the moment I got their attention, I'd have it until I left that school that day. And not in a good way. Some would say that they couldn't take it and they would leave. And they would run home and tell their parents that they didn't want to be at that school anymore. They didn't want to be around those peers anymore. But how could I? If I would have done that, I would have accepted what they said. If I would have done that, I would have accepted and believed what they were saying about me. And then I would begin to believe it myself. So I ignored it, internalized it. While it built up on the inside of me. It hurt like nothing I had ever felt before. And only because I didn't see a difference between me or them. I now know that technically it was no difference. Technically, we were the same. Technically. I was just like them. And if the teasing wasn't bad enough, there were times when they tried to fight me for no reason. Picked on, beat up, bullied over a skin color. Picked on, beat up, bullied over something I didn't ask for. Over something that was given to me. I didn't ask for this. I didn't pick out my pigment. I was born this way. I got shoved around, my book bag tossed, teased, pushed down. I would hear them plotting how they were going to fight me. I would hear them plotting how they would say they were going to get me in the bathroom or after school. And in fear of what they would do to me, I would make up lies about how I was sick and how I couldn't take a blow to the stomach or a blow to the head because I had some kind of medical procedure done and there was a metal plate placed on the inside of me, and so no trauma. So no trauma could interact with my body. I would hear the lies they would make up to bring to me just to give them a reason to bother me. Just to give them a reason to hit me, to shove me, to slap me, to push me down. Just to give them a reason. And I didn't understand. And day in and day out, I had to face this. I had to go through this. Some of the children, I didn't even know their names. Never seen them before. They would pick fights with me. Bully me. Try to provoke me to react. Try to provoke me to get into it with them. But why? So they could beat me up. I was afraid. I didn't know how to fight. I didn't know what to do. I never had to. I didn't see a reason to. Why was this happening to me? Every day I'd go home with a new bruise. Whether it was physical or verbal. Every day my emotions tore away. Every day I had to deal with the same thing from the people I just wanted to be like. never understood why. And there were times when I'd even avoid going to the bathroom, walking down the hallway with other students, or even sitting beside them. Because there were times where I just couldn't take it anymore. One should never have to go through that, especially as a child. One should never have to go through the hell and continued chastisement over something that they don't even know is a problem. And from those that call themselves dealing with the problem, looking just like them. Now, don't get me wrong. I had a few friends. I really had a few people that I can truly say appreciated me and wanted to be around me. And I can say to this very day that they were true friends. But to everyone that called themselves my friend, there was 2 to 3 more that made it fully aware that they wanted nothing to do with me. And I could understand if I was a mean child, awful, smelly, disrespectful, crazy. But I wasn't any of those things. I wanted the same things they wanted. I wanted to be the same thing they wanted to be. When we got asked questions about what we wanted to be when we grew up, my answers sounded the exact same way as theirs did. When they called our names, my name was called in the same number as theirs was called. When treats were passed out by teachers and the principals would call our names over the intercom, my name sounded in the same rhythm as everybody else's. But for some reason, I was left apart, left separate, casted out, and rejected. Very few times that I made it up in my mind that I would do whatever they wanted me to do to fit in. If I saw them being disrespectful, I'd get disrespectful. If I saw them act out, I'd act out. Not because I wanted to get in trouble, no. But I wanted to be like them. I wanted to see something. I wanted them to see something in me that said, yeah, we like her. Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, come be with us. And whatever that would take, I was willing to do. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. But it didn't stop me from trying. It didn't stop me from doing whatever it did I had to make them like me. Did I get in trouble a few times with the teachers? Yes. After a while, I began to go to the principal's office. Notes began to come home to my parents. The teacher began to make phone calls about my behavioral change. my grades dropping, me not being the person that I once was. How could I? No one wanted that person. No one liked that person. No one wanted to be around that person. Why would I continue to do the things that was good enough in the eyes of the grown-ups, but was trash in the eyes of the people like me? And so even though I didn't want to, even though I knew things were bad, even though I got in trouble, for the sake of acceptance, I would do whatever it took. Did they still talk about me? Yes. Did they still tease me? Yes. But I was willing to take that along with being received and accepted. As I look back on it now, I have no regrets. In the mind of a little child that just wants someone to like her, I have no regrets at all. After a while, my mom began to notice the change in me as well. And so she got a little suspicious. I remember her asking me, was someone bothering me? Was there some adult discomfort that I didn't agree with, that I knew was wrong? I would always tell her no, because that was never the problem. She'd try to fish out the answer, but I was never brave enough to tell her. Until one day, this boy who was in high school called me something so awful on the school bus that it broke me to my core. I would hear curse words all the time, and I knew they were wrong, but I had never been called one. And when he looked me in my face and used the B word in describing me and put the word black in front of it, that did something to my heart. That did something to me. With all the teasing, the taunting, the picking at, the bullying, the getting beat up, the false accusations, all of those other things were no comparison to what I felt when he said those words to me. How could someone look a child in her face and say something so cruel? How could a person tear down a child's identity and character before it was ever permitted to grow, build, and be nurtured? That day I couldn't take it anymore. I ran home to my mother crying. I cried like I had never cried before. And I told my mom what he said. I told her how he made me feel. I told her how it hurt me. And I didn't know what to do. She comforted me. She reassured me that nothing that I heard was ever true about me. And she let me know that I wasn't a mistake. That I was indeed a beautiful black girl. And that's all that mattered. And that's all that needed to be believed by me. And I felt better. I knew better. My mom had reassured me of the truth. At least, that's what I believed. That's what I thought. That's what I trusted. But again, she was an adult. She was my mother. She was supposed to say those things. Ooh, what a childhood, right? What a story. That's the same thing I thought when I heard it myself. Even though it's my life, even though I'm talking about it, even though I'm taking the journey, I'm literally just coming to terms with going back to get that little girl that you just heard about in the recording. I'm literally just coming to the terms after 31 years of running away from her, of growing up, of having children, of being in ministry, living, and everything else that my life has become. I've done it all, still hearing the cry of that little girl, still feeling the pain of that little girl. And I've now realized that God is not going to go get her for me. God is not going to go redeem her. God is not going to go help her. I now realize that that's my job. And so as hard as it may be, as rough as the process may be, I choose to take it. I choose to go on it. And I promise not only will I rescue her, not only will I recover her, but I'll embrace her.